Assalamualaikum and good morning to Dr. Farina Nozakia. My name is Kayla Safia Mumtaz binti Asar along with my pair Siti Nordina binti Asla. Today we're going to do the e-poster presentation, and in this assignment we were to do a contrastive analysis of two children's storybooks. So our chosen storybooks are The Little Mermaid and Puteri Duyung. The main reason why we chose these books specifically are because both stories are culturally significant and are widely recognized in their respective languages, which are Malay and English. Moreover, both versions share the same core storyline, which makes them ideal for comparing linguistic features, meaning that since the narrative and context are consistent, it allows for a more accurate and meaningful comparisons across morphological, syntactic, and semantic categories.
Hello, I am Siti Rina, and for the first part, I will be presenting a constructive analysis focusing on morphology in Malay and English. So we will explore the similarities and differences and how words function in both of the language. So first of all, morphology is the study of words and their units called morphemes. So we will examine the three types of morpheme, which are free morphemes, inflectional morphemes, and derivational morphemes. So let's start with free morphemes. Let's take a look at the example. In Malay, pada petang itu, Puteri Duyung berenang ke tepi pantai berhampiran Istana Putera. And in English, the Little Mermaid swam to the Prince's palace. And for both of the similarity of the sentence, both palace and istana refer to the grand royal residence of the prince. And for the differences is that while both are free morphemes, the Malay sentence includes berhampiran, which meaning nearby, which add context that is absent in the English version. This is because most Malay sentences always add more context or details. And next is inflectional morphemes. In Malay, Puteri nampak putera sedang bersia-sia di sebuah taman yang cantik. And in English, she watched the prince as he walked by the shore. So for both of the sentence, the similarity is that both walk and sedang bersia-sia describe an action of walking. And for the differences is that walk use the inflectional morpheme ed to indicate past tense, while sedang bersia-sia indicates an ongoing action, as Malay does not use inflectional morphemes the same way as English. And lastly, let's take a look at derivational morphemes. In Malay, dia kemudian meminum ubat yang diberikan oleh ahli sihir laut, Puteri Duyung tertidur. And in English, she took the witch potion and fell asleep. For the similarity of the both sentences that both the word tertidur and asleep refer to someone who has fallen asleep unintentionally. And for the differences is that asleep use the prefix from an Old English, while tertidur use the prefix ter, which is still productive in modern Malay. Now let's evaluate the difficulty learners may face when mastering morphology, typically in learning English as the second language. Understanding these challenges is crucial for effective teaching strategies. First, let's consider concrete nouns, such as istana in Malay and palace in English. So, learners typically find little to no difficulty in understanding these nouns. This is because they represent tangible objects that can be easily visualized and understood. For example, when a student hears palace, they can often visualize a grand structure, which aids comprehension. This familiarity allows themselves or learners to grasp the meaning without needing an extensive explanation. However, when we move to inflection morpheme, challenges arise. This is because L2 learners may struggle with inflectional suffixes like ed in English, which indicates past tense. This is because Malay does not have a comparable bound morpheme system. As a result, learners might omit these suffixes altogether. For instance, a student might say, I walked to the store yesterday, instead of I walked to the store yesterday. This omission can lead to misunderstanding about the timing of an action, or the timing of actions. Furthermore, the nuances of language present additional challenges. In Malay, morphemes like men, ber, and ter convey complex meanings and function. This Next, for the second part, we will explore syntax, which is the arrangement of words and phrases in a sentence. And we will compare how syntax works in both Malay and English. And syntactic structure can significantly influence the meaning of the sentence. We will examine three elements: word choice, preposition, and noun phrases. So let's begin with word choices. In Malay, tiba-tiba ribut melanda, and in English, all at once a storm came up. And the similarity between both of the sentences is that both phrases act as adverbs of manner and time, conveying a sense of suddenness or unexpected occurrences. The difference is that while tiba-tiba specifically means suddenly, all at once lack a fixed meaning and can imply multiple nuances, such as simultaneously in addition to suddenly. And next we will discuss preposition. In Malay, putera raja tercampak ke dalam laut. In English, the prince was hurt and he fell into the water. The similarity between both sentences is that both sentences depict the same event where the prince gets hurt and ends up in the water. And the differences is that in English, into indicates movement towards the inside of something. And in contrast, the Malay phrase ke dalam combines ke toward and dalam inside, providing a more explicit structure to indicate the same movement or action. That's all from me. I will pass it to the next presenter, Kayla.
Lastly, for syntax, we'll be focusing on the noun phrase. The phrases that are being contrasted are sepasang kaki and two legs. Both phrases refer to the same physical concept, which is a pair of human legs. Therefore, semantically, they are similar as they both describe the same body part. However, there is a noticeable syntactic difference in how the quantity is being expressed. In English, the noun phrase two legs uses a numerical quantifier, which is two, before the plural noun. This follows the typical English structure of quantifier plus noun. However, the Malay phrase uses sepasang, which means a pair in English. This is a classifier commonly used in Malay to refer to items that come in twos like shoes, hands, or legs. This reflects a more descriptive and context-sensitive expression in Malay compared to the more literal and numerical approach in English. So while the phrases deliver the same meaning, their structure differ due to the linguistic norms of each language. So what could be the difficulties in learning syntax? First, they might expect a one-word equivalent just like in Malay. So multi-word adverbials such as all of a sudden might confuse them compared to the simple tiba-tiba. Second, English has many prepositions without direct Malay translation. For example, into means ke dalam. This can lead to errors like saying go to inside instead. Lastly, learners may transfer Malay word order into English, producing sentences like the book I read yesterday instead of I read the book yesterday. This results in awkward and ungrammatical sentences. These differences make syntax learning more difficult when structures don't align. But there are some ways to help auto learners with syntax. First, we can encourage them to combine short sentences into longer ones. This helps them practice using conjunctions and complex structures, like turning she has a cat, it is black, into she has a black cat. It builds fluency and grammar awareness. Second, we can use interactive games like sentence unscrambling and fill in the blank task. These kind of activities make syntax practice fun and hands-on, helping learners understand word order and sentence structure in an engaging way. Moving on to the semantic category, which is the study of meaning. Specifically, I'm comparing how metaphors are being used in Bahasa Melayu and English language. The phrases being compared are jatuh cinta and fell in love. Both expressions share a similar meaning, which is to show that the Little Mermaid experienced an immediate romantic feelings to the prince at first sight. Whether it's jatuh cinta or fell in love, both reflect the deep emotional connection and romantic attraction that she feels. However, the way each language expresses this emotion differs in style and depth. The English phrase fell in love is metaphorical and suggests that love is something that you fall into unexpectedly or uncontrollably. It carries these poetic and abstract layers, highlighting the emotional intensity of experience. Whereas the Malay version of jatuh cinta also uses metaphor, but they translate it literally to fall in love. and it's more direct and common used in everyday speech. It lacks the layered imagery of the English version, making it feel more customary and straightforward to native Malay speakers. So while both versions describe the same emotional state, English adds a poetic, abstract quality, whereas Malay keeps it more clear and conventional. Next is denotative meaning, which refers to the literal or dictionary meaning of a word. The words being contrasted are nampak in Malay and saw in English. Both words share the same denotative meaning, which refers to the act of visually perceiving something. In the story, both indicate that the Little Mermaid saw something happen, and the action of seeing is clearly conveyed in both versions. However, there's a slight difference in expression. The Malay word nampak can feel a bit more descriptive or expressive, often used both in formal and casual contexts, and sometimes suggesting a broader sense of noticing or becoming aware of something visually. But in contrast, the English word saw is more concise and direct, that refers to the past tense of visual perception. It's a straightforward verb that doesn't carry any extra descriptive nuance. So while the core meaning is the same, the style and detail of expression differ. Nampak allows for a bit more interpretive range, whereas so delivers a clear and immediate visual action. So lastly, I'll focus on the connotative meaning, which refers to the emotional or imaginative association behind words, beyond just the literal translation. The phrases being contrasted are a beautiful tale and ekornya berkilauan. Both phrases share a similar connotation. They highlight the mermaid's supernatural and enchanting qualities. These descriptions glorify her appearance, making her seem more magical, graceful, and appealing to the audience. However, there is a clear difference in how the beauty is being conveyed. The English phrase a beautiful tale is broad and subjective. It tells us the detail is attractive, but without much sensory detail. It leaves the image to the imagination. In contrast, the Malay phrase ekornya berkilauan is more vivid and descriptive. The word berkilauan means sparkling or shimmering, which appeals directly to visual imagination, creating a clearer and more magical image in the reader's mind. So while both phrases expresses admiration, Malay emphasizes the visual spark and wonder, whereas English version uses a more general term to imply beauty. So some of the difficulties in learning semantics are that second language learners may struggle to understand idioms and metaphors, for example, as they tend to interpret language literally. For example, they might not understand that fall in love doesn't actually mean physically falling. Second, many words have multiple meanings and it may depend on the context, which can confuse learners, like the word bank, which could mean a river bank and a final institution. Third, students may produce unnatural word combinations like strong rain instead of heavy rain, which affects both fluency and comprehension. So to help with these challenges, teachers can use visuals such as diagrams or illustrations to show different meanings clearly. This makes abstract ideas more concrete. Another method is semantic mapping, where learners create webs connecting a word to its synonym, antonyms, and related ideas. This builds a deeper understanding of word relationships and context. So I think that is all for us. Thank you.